If you read more into what he was talking about in terms of not just BVS, but like the superhero genre,
Civil War and the Guardians of the Galaxy,
he's starting his own YouTube channel where he's reviewing superhero movies.
What he thinks the different Infinity Stones are going to be
how he really believes Thanos might win in the end.
His petition to get Fox to cross over with Marvel finally is really into this stuff, man.
He's going to be the new Wolverine.
He's going to be, but that would be cool.
The weekly Mel Gibson update on the comeback. Here we go.
This is his permanent segment on our channel. All Mel Gibson talk once a week.
A couple weeks, because I've been like very vocal about my comeback for Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago, I put out a video, like before the release of Bloodfather, which I saw, by the way. I did a video called Why Mel Gibson Deserves a Comeback. And now, suddenly, it's been a few weeks since that video, some new things have happened. And people are raving about Mel Gibson's probably finally going to have his comeback this year. And I called it. I said it was going to be this year. Because Bloodfather...
It was in the prophecy.
Bloodfather showed that he was going to give a great performance. And then HACKSAW RIDGE is going to show the world he can still direct. Currently, the film has a 93% Rotten Tomatoes. At the Venice Film Festival, a lot of people reported that he got a 10-minute standing ovation after the film was done. This Mel Gibson comeback is the most serious thing I have ever talked about. And if you're going to make some weird Spanish-talking joke...
This is 10 minutes. 10 minutes in Spanish. Mel Gibson's new movie got a 10-minute standing ovation. Did you know that? Did you know that about HACKSAW RIDGE? People really seem to like HACKSAW Ridge.
Mel's counting on me to help him get this comeback. Hey! So I didn't release a review of Bloodfather. I just didn't make the time to do it yet. But I guess I'll give you a quick little review right now. The film itself, I didn't think was the greatest. I mean, I thought the film was kind of uneven and choppy, and I felt a lot of moments could have just played out. But the one thing that everyone universally agrees on is Mel Gibson does a great job. Without specifically his performance in that movie is the main reason, and one of the few reasons I could come up with to actually watch that specific film. I'm not just saying that because I love him. I'm saying that because it's true. He is the best thing in that film.
That's the thing that's always really interesting to me about Mel Gibson is every time I see him on screen, I am reminded that this guy does have a magic. Like, when he's doing a performance, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff I still kind of haven't fully made peace with about, like, who Mel Gibson is and, like, whether or not I'd like to see him, like, in full force. But every time I see him on screen, which is arguably the part that matters most, it's like, even the Expendables 3, like, I don't really care that much about the Expendables movies. And when he was on screen, I was like, yeah.
Most people I know that when they watch Expendables 3 don't like it, but they talk about this monologue that Mel Gibson gives when he's handcuffed.
Yeah, and it's like, anytime I know Mel Gibson's in something, I can think to myself, like, if I drop money to see that, you know, I know at least that guy will not have wasted, you know, like any effort on it.
And I really didn't care for Machete Kills, and it's jam-packed with celebrity appearances.
Yeah, Machete Kills.
Yet the one thing I liked was
Mel Gibson. And everybody said Mel Gibson's really good in this.
And he's also still done some good films. Edge of Darkness is a little bit more debatable in terms of whether or not you think that's just a good film in general. He did The Beaver, which he did a really good job in, and I thought that was a really good film. Get the Gringo, I think, is amazing. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen Get the Gringo, really should have gotten a theater release. I think it's a fantastic film. Mel Gibson does a fantastic job in it too. Bloodfather does a great job, and I like how he's working with, I think, redesigning his image. Like, I feel
like that's the stepladders. First you do kind of a weird indie movie, like The Beaver. Then you do a pretty good version of like what you used to do. And then you do a movie where you're the mostly good thing about this film.
Yeah.
And now you gotta direct something, and now you can come back.
He's smart with what he's doing because he takes on these roles, specifically when he does like the leading dramatic roles. Not when he does like a fun supporting role in a film.
Yeah.
But when he does like a leading dramatic role, he takes on these roles that are kind of similar representations to his public, personal life image that he has. You know, because especially in Bloodfather, his first scene, he's in an AA meeting. His alcoholism struggles are a well-known thing. So to have that be a big part of his character, a guy who has alcoholism struggles, but put him in like kind of this badass action role, is a smart maneuver for him. And I think he's made him very, strategic in what he's doing specifically this year. Because with HACKSAW RIDGE coming out and the wonderful feedback it's getting, the concept of what he's doing with HACKSAW RIDGE, but in terms of his directing, because he did Braveheart, Passion of the Christ, and I know he did Apocalypto, but Braveheart and Passion of the Christ are his two biggest directorial efforts, and those films, a lot of that is about love and heart, and Hacksaw Ridge seems to have that too. In this world of violence,
it's a peaceful...
but love is such an essential thing to making this work, you know?
Well, yeah, and the value of a peaceful person and a person who wants to help but doesn't want to fight. Like, you know, like there's an interesting idea working there that's not the same idea that you get all the time, you know? And especially coming from him with what we know about him and our associations, for him to do a movie with a peace at the core of it is a nice thing for everybody to see. Because Mel Gibson, to me, is a lot like Tom Cruise in the sense that whenever I hear those names, I'm like, these guys seem like they have really good judgment and they put a lot into their work. Really good judgment, at least in terms of movies. And like Mel Gibson is the guy I struggle with probably the most in terms of like separating the art from the artist. Because if I'm just talking about the movies, man, like he's a terrific actor, I think. Like every time I watch a Mel Gibson performance, pretty much, I'm like, yeah, I totally see the magic. Dude's got chops and he's proven he makes a good movie.
What's funny is the thing that's really like, because there's 2 reports of him this week: the standing ovation at Venice Film Festival, and the fact that he slammed BVS. I don't want to criticize more BVS. It's just interesting to me that it's like suddenly his opinion on it like matters again. Like his opinion towards movies matters. Because so many people are talking.
Not like Batman versus Superman.
So many people are really talking about it. Like every news site I see is mentioning that Mel Gibson didn't like BVS.
See, I can't tell if that's more on the virtue of, hey, we're listening to Mel more again, or if it's more on the virtue of like, this is how much we don't like this movie.
And it's
like,
it's great too because Mel Gibson's talking shit, and it's the first time in a long time where he's talked shit, and we're all going, you know what? Most of us agree with you on this.
Yeah. Oh, hey Mel. And yeah, you can join this fight.
Despite the fact that right now he's in his just comeback period, he's not in his highly profile.
He's on probation right now.
Yeah.
He's at the party and we're like, hey, if you keep it cool, you can hang out. Just don't go too far.
Yeah, and so despite the fact that that's only where he's at currently, I think it's still a big deal because we all know his line of work. We know the lineage of his directing efforts and his acting roles to go for enough for him to give a critical opinion on a film for us to like hear him out. You know, he's not talking about like something in life. He's talking about a movie.
Like I said, it's that art from the artist thing. When he makes a movie, like dude can still make a good movie.
I think he could be great in a superhero-esque film. I don't think it necessarily a DC or Marvel film.
Unbreakable too.
Yeah, or when like someone does like when James Gunn did Super, something like that,
like a riff on a superhero movie, like something a little bit strange.
Yeah, or like Ryan Gosling in Drive or something, like some kind of hero thing like that. This week has really shown that Mel Gibson will be making his comeback and that his opinion does matter. He has a lot to contribute still to Hollywood.
I love your love of Mel Gibson.
I fucking love Mel Gibson so much, man. I watched all 4 Lethal Weapon movies again before watching Bloodfather, just to get more in the mood to watch Bloodfather. BBM. Bring back Mel.
# bring back Mel. You should make t-shirts. That's your way to get to Mel so that you can ultimately do a collab with him.
And if you want to know why I really believe he deserves a comeback, just check out my video on it. Not here to explain myself again. Thank you for being here. Subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new. If this is your like 2nd or 3rd time watching a video and you still haven't made a decision, well, think about it like this. This is your 2nd or 3rd video. Subscribe already.
Yeah.
And if you're already subscribed, ask yourself, do you really want to say subscribe? Do you want to tell people you are subscribed to this channel? Is that something you're comfortable with doing? Then decide whether or not you should unsubscribe or not. John is Reasons to Jerry on his Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com/Bloomhouse and The Real Rejects is the social media manager thing that he does there. And shout out to Danny Glover.
Hey!
Riggs!
There you go.
Riggs!